Good afternoon, everyone. It's M.S.G. I hope you're doing well. It's just a quick video, like I mentioned on my community post, that I'm going to make. It's a tier list. So this is going to be a tier list for the Veterans of the Long War Detachment, specifically made in the Chaos Space Marines Codex. I'm just going to be running through units which I think are really good, which I think are pretty mid, and which I think are bad. The Veterans of the Long War Detachment's actually really, really strong in my opinion. I've had a few games with it, both physically in tabletop and on Tabletop Simulator. To quite a lot of success actually. So just to briefly run over, the rules are still the same. The faction rule is still the same. Dark packs are a thing still. However, now they've made it so you have to take your leadership test before you do a dark pact. So you still get the like the pro and the con. So basically, you have to take the leadership test. Even if you fail, you still get the sixes automatically wound or sixes explode. But you will suffer D3 mortal wounds. So that's all they've changed about it. As for the Veterans of the Long War Detachment, at the start of your command phase, select one unit to be a focus of hatred, and the next time a Heretic Astartes model from your army, which excludes damned units, makes an attack against it, you can reroll the hit roll. So it's just the Space Marine at the moment for Chaos Space Marines. There are some really, really strong enhancements in this one. Very, very strong stratagems too. But with that said, I'm just going to get onto the data sheets and we're going to run through them quickly. So, Veterans of the Long War for Abaddon, the premier old war guy, the guy who has been fighting for thousands of years. He is 295 points. He's still movement 5, toughness 5, 2 up armor, 4 up invul, 9 wounds, 5 up leadership, 4 OC. Apologies if you know that in the background. We've got boy racers. But just to repeat that, he's pretty much the same. The only thing that they've changed about him is his ability for Dark Destiny, which is you have to Dark Pact with the model's unit, and if it doesn't fail a leadership test, if the result of the leadership test was a 7 or higher, you gain a command point, which is pretty good because this detachment is very, very starved for command points. So yeah, he still hits really hard in melee, 8 attacks, hitting on 2, strength 14, minus 4/3 damage with dev wounds. The Talon also has 14 attacks on 2, strength 7, minus 3, 1 damage each, and they are dev wounds 2. He's got a decent amount of shooting, so 4 shots from a heavy bolter, so it's strength 5, minus 1, 2 damage, which is pretty good. The Paragon of Hatred, again, is still really strong. The ability to reroll hits in an aura of 6 inches is really good, especially if you're attacking something that isn't your focus of hatred, but a majority of the time you are wanting to be focusing that down. Mark of Chaos Ascendant is probably his best ability now because it means he can give everybody a Heretic Astartes unit. Sorry, that doesn't include Dam, so no longer having Cultists on 4 pinballs. He gives them a 4 pinball, which is really, really good. Last up is Lord of the Traitor Legions, which is the Battle Shock and Leadership rerolls and within 6 inches. It's very situational, and again, doesn't work on Damned. Very rarely is it that you actually need to do Battle Shock tests unless you're playing against someone specialised for that, like Dread Talons, for example. But again, he works really well with that aura into Dread Talons because you can just reroll all the Battle Shock tests and Leadership tests, which is great. So he can now be run with Chosen. He can no longer be run with Legionaries. He has to be run with either Chosen. Well, he doesn't have to be, but he can be run with Chosen or Chaos Terminators. I think he's better with Chosen, personally. Terminators are still really good with Abaddon, though, the 10-man break. And now Abaddon is also Chaos Undivided. He no longer has all the Chaos marks. He can only choose from the rerolls of 1 to hit anyway because of the Chaos Undivided thing. But, yeah, other than that, I think he is quite strong. 295 points is very pricey and he can deep strike, but again, I do think a lot of people really don't rate him in this detachment, but I think he's really, really strong still. His melee is just ridiculous, but yeah, it's the same Abaddon, just with a few tweaks, so he's still really strong. Some people would put him S tier. I personally would put him A because he's not as strong as he used to be, but I don't think he's like ERF tier. I still think he's really good. Next up, we are just going to touch on the Chaos Lord. So the Chaos Lord is, again, 90 points. He got a points, well, he was 90 points previously, if I'm not mistaken. It's been a while. But he's 6-inch move, toughness 4, 4 up pinball, 3 up armor, 5 wounds, 6 leadership, and 1 OC. Got a plasma pistol, and you're bringing him with a hammer like 10 times out of 10. I don't see anyone bringing him with anything else. He's got his Lord of Chaos ability, which has been reworked, so it now means it reduces the stratagem cost by 1 CP, which is great. So you can, for example, use... So I'll just briefly run through the stratagems here. There's Endless Ire, which is 2 CP. It's not a battle tactic, but it means once you've destroyed your Focus of Hatred, you can select one enemy unit within 12 inches and visible to your unit, and until they're starting your next command phase, that's considered to be the Focus of Hatred now, so you could potentially get a lot out of that, but it is 2 CP. Black Crusade is the bolt gun dev wounds one, so in your movement phase, one Heretic Astartes infantry or mounted unit, excluding damned until the end of your turn, eligible to shoot in a turn in which it advanced or fell back, and bolt pistols, bolt guns, and combi bolters equipped by models in the unit have dev wounds, which is really, really strong. While your unit has not already inflicted 6 wounds this turn using that ability. So you can only inflict up to max of 6, but again, it's still really good. For 1 CP, it's just there if you need it. Millennia of Experience is arguably one of the most broken ones in the game. A lot of the other stratagems now are quite copying this, and we do have this in other detachments, but again, thankfully it's in this one. It's just a 6-inch reactive move, so after your opponent has just finished a normal advance or fall back, you can use a Heretic Astartes mounted or infantry unit and move it 6 inches if it's within 9 inches of a unit, not within engagement range of one enemy unit. So 6-inch reactive move is really good. It's classed as a normal move as well, which is great. Contemptuous Disregard is just Armor of Contempt, so -1 to any AP incoming. This stacks with cover as well, which is really, really strong. Let the Galaxy Burn. You get full shots on your torrent weapons, which is it's all right. But the main thing is you get ignores cover for 1 CP. It's a battle tactic. You know, if you're doing some decent shooting, you get bolt guns, just -1 AP from a Terminator Sorcerer. Just spray everybody with -1 AP. And Bringers of Despair is fight first, but it's only for the Focus of Hatred, so you'll have to do some planning around that. However, if you've got something like Lionel Johnson and he runs into you and you have this, just pop that and you might be able to kill him. But yeah, stuff like that is just really good. We've got some very strong enhancements as well, but I'll just get onto that once I've explained the Chaos Lord. So Chaos Lord, for those who are wondering, obviously it's S tier. This guy's fantastic. You still get Chance for Glory, which gives him Strength 9 -3 damage on his Demon Hammer. If you run him with the, I believe it's the War Master's Gift, sorry, which is this one. So it's only equipped by a Chaos Lord. Each time the bearer makes an attack that targets your Focus of Hatred, unmodified wound rolls of 5 up score a crit wound, which means you get dev wounds. So 3 dev wounds on 5 ups instead of 6s, which is fucking ridiculous. The guy can be run with Legionaries and Chosen, so you want to run him with a blob of Legionaries in a Rhino, jump him out. You get full rerolls to hit on your Focus of Hatred, or if you've got a Master of Executions nearby and you plink a few wounds off a unit, you get full rerolls to hit. When you're in melee, you get reroll 1s to wound if you're not on objective, but usually you want to be on an objective, and you get the full rerolls to hit, full rerolls to wound. It's just ridiculous. You just so much damage dealt with this thing. He's genuinely an auto include, in my opinion. I think he's absolutely fantastic. He's really strong with Chosen. I personally would run him with Legionaries, but I do also run him with Chosen at the same time. And again, at 90 points, 105 if you're running with the enhancement, which you are going to want to do, is just an auto include. This guy's fantastic. Next up, we have his heavier counterpart, which is the Chaos Lord in Terminator armor. So it's just a standard stuff, really. 5-inch move, toughness 5, 2 up armor, 4 up pinball, standard Terminator profile. He's got 6 wounds, can deep strike, it can lead Terminators. Again, it's a Terminator, what do you expect? So this guy's really, really good with another enhancement, which Dave from Blog for the Blood God did a really good video on this detachment, and I was very, very happy with that. So he mentions that you can run him with the, I believe it's the, Eager for Vengeance. If you put him with Eager for Vengeance, you can shoot and declare a charge in a turn in which it fell back. You can then stack that with Let the Galaxy Burn, not Let the Galaxy Burn, sorry, Black Crusade, which gives dev wounds for an absolute boatload of combi bolter shots that you can shoot into a unit and then charge back into it and do, quite frankly, an absurd amount of damage. The unit itself, the model, not the unit, is 95 points. If you want to run him with that Eager for Vengeance, it brings him up to 115. Once per battle round, it reduces the cost of a stratagem by 1 CP, which is great. So you still can get Contemptuous Disregard or Let the Galaxy Burn for a free CP, so you can get that for free. So ignore cover on shooting is really good. you have got a stupid amount of bolt guns, especially with dark packs for sustained hits. More often than not, you're going to get more than you bargained for. And each time an attack is allocated to him, half the damage characteristic of it. 6 wounds, a toughness 5, 4 pinball. It's difficult to chew through. He can be run with a chain fist, which is probably, in my opinion, that's the best way to run him, that or a power fist. I personally run him with the power fist, but you do, if you're punching up, definitely you want to go into a chain fist, because anti-vehicle +3 is really good. You do get full rerolls to hit as well because you are a Terminator, and if you're attached to a Chaos Terminator squad, they get that innately. So he doesn't benefit mostly from the detachment rule, but I don't think he's bad by any means. I actually think he's quite good. If I were to rank him, I'd probably put him in B tier. I think he is he's very low B tier or high C tier. I don't think he's bad at all, and I like how the new stratagems have made him a lot more viable, but I think there are better options. If you want to be more aggressive with your shooting, you can always bring alternative leaders, which we're going to get onto later, but I still think the guy's really strong. So B tier is a firm placement for him out of respect. So Chaos Lord with Jump Pack. This guy is 12-inch move, toughness 4, 3 up armor, 4 up pinball, 5 wounds, 6 up leadership, 1 OC. He's got a plasma pistol or a bolt pistol. You're going to want to take the plasma pistol. He's also got power fist, 6 attacks, for 5 attacks, hitting on 2 strength 8 -2 2. Accursed weapon on 6 attacks or twin lightning claws. You're going to want to bring him with the power fist or twin lightning claws, in my opinion, because the fact that he's the only person that can be led with raptors. Why he can't be run with warp talons is just beyond me, to be honest with you, but what do I know? He still gives the aura for, not the aura, sorry, the -1 CP strat, which is really good. So you can get Black Crusade on a unit of Raptors or let the Galaxy burn, so you've got that ignores cover on a lot of the shooting the Raptors have got. Black Crusade is really good again if you're running a lot of like bolt guns, but it's not very good on this guy, to be honest with you. He's 90 points, which is a bit too pricey for what you get. He also has an ability called Cruel Hunter, which means that while he's leading a unit, anytime that unit piles in or consolidates, each model it can move up to 6 instead of 3. No, it's all right, I guess. It's not too bad. It's just a Bloodmaster from Corn Demons, but with worse weapons, and he's faster. That's it. Do I think he's bad? I kind of do. I'll be honest. I don't like him at all. I think he's just weird. He's too like Raptors are more of a utility choice. And yeah, while you do get quite a lot of re-rolling hits, I mean, you know, strength 5 -2 1 damage, 4 re-rolls to hit, and twin link, twin lightning claws, re-rolling all your wounds. You will shred pretty much most of the stuff you're in combat with if it's like infantry. It's a good skirmishing character, but I think he just needs a points cut. Where would I put him? Out of respect, I think C tier. His model's fantastic though. I think he's really cool. But if you could bring him like a hammer or something, that would be a lot more fun. But then again, that's the old Smash Captain from 8th edition that I'm remembering. Rest in peace, Boo Boo. Next up is the Cultist Firebrand. I'm just going to skip this guy because he's terrible. F tier, this guy's trash. He's really, really bad. Yeah, right. So his toughness 4, 4 up save, no invul, 4 wounds. He's 45 points. He can only be ran with a Cursed Cultist or a Cultist mob. 6-inch movement. He's got a Balefire Pipe, which is alright. I mean, it's strength 5 -1 1 damage, d6 +3 shots, auto hitting, and his melee is -1 for some reason. He's got Fiery Faith, which means you can reroll leadership tests taken for the unit and Cursed Flames in your shooting phase. After this model is shot, select one enemy infantry unit and you can make it do a battle shock test. Really fucking bad. I do not like this guy at all. I think he's terrible. He's shit in every detachment, to be fair, but in this one in particular, he just doesn't synergize very well simply from the fact that he has the damned keyword. So you'll notice a lot of the stuff in this codex rather that's got a damned unit, damned keyword is going to be quite low tier, mainly because of the vets stratagem, the vets detachment rather, not as opposed to them being bad per se. But this guy is both. He's shit with this detachment and he's shit on his own. He's terrible. Do not bring him. And the fact that Games Workshop tried to bring out a Dark Vengeance Cultist and sell him off as a single model, fuck you, Games Workshop. Cipher now. Cipher's a weird one. So 6-inch move, toughness 4, 4 up invul, 3 up armor, 5 wounds, 6 up leadership, 1 OC. He's got his standard assault pistol, sustained hits 1 on his bolt pistol and plasma pistol, which is great. So his plasma pistol's overcharged anyway at 3 shots, so strength 8 minus 3/2 damage, which is fantastic. He can also shoot his bolt pistol and plasma pistol in combat now. He doesn't have really bad combat stats. So he can shoot 6 times. He's basically got the same amount of damage in shooting as he does out of shooting, which is great, except he can't use his dart packs because on his plasma pistol in close quarters, because it's extra attacks, you don't benefit from it. And you already get sustained hits 1 from shooting at range anyway. But he's got the low knock rule, which means he can't be targeted within 18 inches, which is great. You can just put him on an objective and he captures it pretty much out of nowhere. The real reason why you want to be bringing him, though, is the Agent of Discord, which is the lone op. Sorry, not the lone op rule. It's the it says 12 here, I think, for lone op, but I think that needs to be updated. It's 18, if I'm not mistaken now. If it's within 12 inches of this model, increase the cost of the use of the stratagem by 1. So it's a Vect, which is, it can be good. I mean, if you're playing well and you can, keep him behind cover, you can just be like, yeah, that's the guy who I want to ruin his day. But keep in mind, your opponent's going to know this. Guns blazing is pretty fun as well. So once per turn in your opponent's shooting phase, when it makes a ranged attack that targets a friendly heretic Astartes unit within 3 inches, after the unit is shot, this model can shoot as if it were your shooting phase, but only target the enemy that was shooting at your friends, which is, again, pretty good. I'll be honest. It's very niche, but like Cipher shooting's nothing to scoff at. Like, it's actually pretty nasty, especially with other like rules, and having full rerolls to hit on something potentially if you do the focus of hatred on him is really good. He does benefit from the ignore cover stratagem pretty well if you want to use that on him, which I don't recommend you do because you don't get any negatives for it. You don't get a refund for it. You don't get it for free. But ignoring cover on shooting for AP3 and AP1 is really good. You can put Contemptuous Disregard on him again if you want. Or the Millennia of Experience, which is really good because if someone tries to deep strike next to him, he can just move away out of line of sight and then just do the Vex stratagem on them behind a wall or something, which is really good. He's only 90 points as well. And again, he's a weird one. Where would I rank him? I'd probably put him like B tier. I think he's worse than the Terminator Lord, but he's better than the Jump At Lord because you can actually get some use out of Cipher if you're a good player. But he's still, again, not the best, but he's not bad at all. Dark Apostle, one of my personal favourite models. Standard guy still. You get +1 to wound if you attach him to a unit. It can be ran with Accursed, Cultist, Chosen, Cultist mobs, or Legionaries. You are not going to want to run him with Cultists or the Cultist mob. You want to run him with Chosen or Legionaries for that +1 to wound and melee, especially on Legionaries. Full rerolls to wound and your +1 to wound. Really, really good. So the Demagogue is the no battle shock test, which means that if a unit gets battle shocked and it's within 12 inches of the unit's Dark Apostle, the Dark Apostle just goes, nope, you're not battle shocked anymore, which is really good. Malign Sacrifice is still one of the worst fucking abilities in the game. Absolutely terrible. Never do it. Unless you are wanting to throw the game, don't do it. It's not worth it. He's 75 points still. Again, the 3 models is really bad for transport reasons, mainly because you're going to have to sacrifice 2 of your units in your squad to get this guy into the transport, which you're basically not going to enjoy that at all. What I would recommend doing with him, though, is if you can, run him with like a squad of 5 Legionaries or something, or 5 Chosen, +1 to wound and rerolling hits to wound, rerolling hits in combat is really, really strong. I think now, especially with the +1 to wound, I think he is really, really strong. Like a very, very strong now, especially due to the fact that the combat meta is, especially where I live, it's very combat heavy. So that +1 to wound is really nice. If you're fishing for 6s for sustains, re-rolling all your hits and then getting that +1 to wound, you might be getting more wounds through, especially with the re-rolls. Where I rank him, I think he is top of B tier. I think he's maybe low A, actually. I genuinely, if it wasn't for the transport shenanigans and you could just get rid of those 2 Dark Disciples, which, while they are okay, you can use a 4-up invul on them to tank a shot if there's precision. No, I don't think it's very good because you're going to, again, sacrifice either 2 Chosen or 2 Legionaries, and I would rather take the Legionaries because of the damage output they've got. But yeah, the Dark Apostle's really good. I like him. He's my favourite model, or one of my favourite models. Dark Commune, we are just going to find you guys because I appear to have lost you. F tier because it doesn't synergize very well. Literally don't synergize at all. I don't think they're a bad unit at all though. I think the Dark Commune for the Cultist detachment are actually really strong. But for this detachment in particular, I think it's just unfortunate because ultimately he is, the game was rigged from the start, to quote a certain someone. But yeah, I still think he is. No, sorry, I still think the Dark Commune are really good. Like for the Cultist detachment, bro, I would never ever bring them for anyone else. For this detachment though, F tier, mainly due to the synergy. Again, don't quote me on that one. That is just simply because they are doomed to begin with, shall we say. Next up, Fabulous Bill, my favourite boy. He is still hilarious with the Surgeon Acolyte. He's got 5 up feel no pain, which is great. You can get +1 strength and +1 toughness to bodyguard models and +1 strength to melee weapons in his unit. So you get strength 9 power fist, toughness 5 chosen, and strength 6 chosen. Are really, really good. Anytime there's a attack that's allocated to a model in the unit, if it contains Bile, you can change that to 0, which is great, especially if it's 3 damage. You might save a chosen if that's the case. Chirurgeon, again, he comes back up on a 2-up and not within engagement range, but he still will give up Assassinate. 85 points. I'll be honest, I actually think he's not too bad. He is just a weird one, so it can be, like I said, he can be ran with either Chosen, Cultists, Accursed Cultists, or Legionaries. 6-inch move's really good. He benefits a lot from the reroll hits, as does everybody really. That's not damned. Where would I rank him? So you've got to ask yourself, is it 85 points for a big durability increase to a chosen mob unit? I'd put him there. A lot of people would rank him a bit higher, but I still think he's really, really good. And he's a really cool model too. He's got one of the nicest looking models I've ever seen. Harken. Oh dear. Oh, the mighty have fallen. Well, he never even rose in the first place, this guy. So, Harken's your standard jump pack trooper. He's toughness 4, 12-inch move, 3 up armor, 4 up invul. Very similar to the Chaos Lord jump pack one. His Hell Spear's got 1 shot, assault, so you can advance and shoot, 1 hit on a 2. Strength 8 -3 damage. If you do get a 6, you get sustained hits D3, which, if it pulls off, is actually quite nasty. In melee is actually pretty good. His Herald's Talon, strength 5 -2, 2 damage. You can get 4 rerolls to hit if you obviously use the Focus of Hatred. You get that, and there's some nasty, nasty fishing for 6s, which is precision 2. The Hell Spear is also considered an extra attack, so you get +1 to wound on it. 1 shot, strength 8 -3 damage, and sustain its D3. So if you get that 6 to hit on it in melee, congratulations, you've now got D3 extra attacks, which is great, especially on something that's got such a high number for AP and a high number for damage, and it's +1 to wound because it lands. So while he's leading a unit, each time the model's unit enters charge move, select one enemy unit within engagement range of the model's unit and roll a d6 for each model in the model's unit that is within engagement range of this enemy unit. My god, do you want to say that? That's such a word salad. So for 4 up, on a 4 up, the unit suffers more mortal wounds. So you basically, for bigger units, it trims them down a bit. If it's like crappy infantry, that's on 1 wound. Herald of the Apocalypse means they also get, while an enemy was in 6 inches and in the battle shock step of your opponent's command phase, if the enemy unit is below its starting strength, it must take a battle shock test. So you force them to take a battle shock test, which is great in certain situations. And that also stacks with the Raptors' Fearsome Aura, which is the -1 leadership, which can potentially, it's really good. This guy is better in the Dread Talons, though. In my experience, I don't really rate him in this one. Where would I put him? Like D tier. He's 90 points. He's still too expensive. In fact, I'm going to put him on par. Yeah, these two are in D tier. I don't like the Chaos Jump Pack Lord. His model's really cool, but he's not very good. But yeah, they're both in D tier. And now, where is he? Demon Prince. So the regular Demon Prince without wings. So this guy benefits quite well from the Ascended Demon rule on top of the Mark of Legend, which allows him to re-roll one hit roll, wound, or saving throw made by the bearer, and that also works with his ability as well. So you can re-roll one hit, one wound roll. Can't get my words out today. You can do that twice or once for a saving throw. Obviously, the mark you can bring in with whatever. I would personally bring in with Slaanesh, obviously due to the movement speed and the extra attacks, but you don't benefit from that anymore because we're not pack-bound zealots. Slaanesh just gives him that extra maneuverability. If you want to make him tankier at T11, you'd honestly not remiss from doing that too. Khorne's really good as well because you get the strength 10, minus 2/3 damage, which is great into tanks, and you also get strength 8, which is wounded Space Marines and other Space Marine-like chassis on 2s, despite it being 1 damage, which is questionable. So, Heretic Astartes infantry unit within 6 inches of the model. Each time a ranged attack's allocated to it, gets the benefit of cover if it's within 6 inches of the Demon Prince, which again is a bit weird to be honest. Ascended Demon's just a solid damage buff as well. He's great with the reactive move. The Eye of Abaddon is a bit of a weird thing to run on him as well, because if he does destroy the Focus of Hatred, which he very well may do because he hits really hard, you do get what you call it. On a 4 you get a command point, which is not the worst. It's unreliable, but again, you want to put it on this guy. He's already 165 points, which is quite pricey. Do I think he's bad? Not at all. I think he's very multi-tool. You can do quite a lot with him. If you're running with the Marker Legend, he goes to 175. But where would I rank him? Like D tier. I don't think he's going to be brought. Yeah, it's just unfortunate. But yeah, next up is the Demon Prince with Wings. This guy, in my opinion, is a lot better simply due to the fact that while he is -1 toughness, he is a lot faster. He's nearly 4 inches faster. Well, no, not nearly. He is 4 inches faster. He's still got the same shooting, same melee profile, same mark benefits. So again, if you want to run him with Mark of Khorne, you can do. This guy is 180 points though, so he's quite pricey. His abilities are different, so he does have Deep Strike, and it means that each time a model ends with his Demonic Destruction ability, each time this model ends a charge move, select one enemy unit within engagement range of it and roll a d6 for each of the model's remaining wounds. Or for each 4-up, that enemy suffers a mortal wound to a maximum of 6. Pretty good. It's just tank shock for free, basically. Flying Horror. Each time this model ends a normal or advanced move, one enemy unit it moved over during that test must take a battle shock, and you get to select which one, which is just very niche, to be honest with you. Again, he's still really strong. I think he hits really hard. He does benefit from Eager for Vengeance pretty well because obviously he gets the advance and charge as well from a stratagem. So although he's 180 points, he's very pricey. You can run him with Marker Legend if you just want to send a missile to somebody and just do a shitload of damage, or the Eye of Abaddon if you just want to nuke your Focus of Hatred and possibly get a command point afterwards. Where would I rank him? I think he is like B tier. The full rerolls to hit is really good on him as well if you're focusing down your Focus of Hatred, because the 6 attacks, strength 8 -2/3 damage is really strong. Next up, we have the man himself, Huron Blackheart. He is still in need of a new model because his model is absolutely terrible. But yeah, standard profile, 6-inch move, toughness 4, 4-up invul, 3-up armor, 5 wounds, 6 leadership, 1 OC. His Tyrant's Claw is pretty bad. His Exalted Weapon's not too bad either, but the Tyrant's Claw is just a horde killer. While the model's leading the unit, he gets +1 OC on everything, which is great. So Legionaries at OC3 is really strong. That can help you take an objective. You can also select up to 3 Heretic Astartes infantry units from your army and redeploy them after you've deployed both of your armies. So these can be placed into strat reserves regardless of how many units are already in there, which is great. So once per battle, when an enemy unit ends a normal or advance or fallback move within 9 inches of the model, you get your D6 reactive move, which is basically just the Millennia of Experience for free, which is actually quite good. But it can be run with Chosen and Legionaries. So Chosen OC2 are really strong because obviously Chosen are quite hard to hit in, but they're lacking the OC department. Although he's 80 points, he's okay. He's a very support-oriented Chaos Lord, pretty much. You don't get any free stratagems with him, unfortunately, which is big, especially for this detachment. We are quite command point starved. Where would I rank him, though, if I was to put him on the tier list? I think he is C tier. I think he is okay. He's just a weird tech choice, but again, he's cheap, so you know what can you say? Right, Lord Discordant. This guy is still fucking trash. I really don't want to rank this guy. He's such a cool model, but goddamn, he sucks. 190 points. Any enhancement just makes him more expensive. He's got weird middling melee attacks that I'm just not going to go into detail with. I know a lot of people really like this guy, and I really love this model. I really hated painting him, but when he's finished, he looks great. 10-inch move, toughness 9, 2 up armor, 2 up armor, 5 up invul, 10 wounds, 6 up leadership. This guy's just weird. He's a lot better in Renegades and Raiders. He's also a lot better in the Warp Pack, the Soulforge Warp Pack, which is really good for this guy. But it's just that's mainly the strength of the detachment as opposed to him. So where do I rank him? I think he's just too expensive. He's just way too expensive. He's in F tier. I just don't rate him at all. Yeah, he hits hard, but your opponent's going to go, oh look, he's toughness 9 and only 10 wounds and only has a 5 up invul. He's just a shittier knight. That's it. But it's just a weird model. Not very good for this detachment, but again, it sucks because he is sick. To paint, well, not to paint, but to admire once you've done painting him, definitely. So next up, Master of Executions. This guy is really interesting. So each time he kills a character model, he gets a command point, which is great. Again, these don't stack, so obviously if you get the command point from your enhancement, you don't get the command point from this. You can only gain up to an extra command point per turn, as opposed to the one that you've already earned, which is in the core rules. So the reason why this guy's really good is because you can slap him on a unit for 80 points, and you give them a really good melee precision character with dev wounds, and you also give them the Warp Sight Butcher, which means that every time he's leading a unit, each time a model in the unit makes a melee attack that targets below its starting strength, so that means you can literally just take 1 wound off a model in melee, and then you charge, you then get full rerolls to hit, which is really good. And if it's below half strength, you get full rerolls to wound. Fantastic. Just a really strong ability. 80 points to have full rerolls to hit on a unit in melee is really good, especially with a lot of the ways that we now have to get reroll wounds. Legionaries are really good with this guy. Chosen are really good with him because having the ability to reroll your hits with Chosen on something that isn't a unit, your Focus of Hatred is really good. He is basically a mini Focus of Hatred, and I think he's really well priced at 80 points for the reroll hits is just really good, but the reroll wounds is just that extra bit on top. So for example, if you're fighting like a tank or something, you can then punch up quite a lot more reliably, especially with dev wounds. This guy does quite a lot of damage in melee, especially with the precision. You're more than likely going to take out whoever you're hitting due to the high AP and the 2 damage. Again, this guy is really good with all of our stratagems. The Black Crusade one less so, because he doesn't really have any shooting, but you can also just advance and fall back, and shoot, and then possibly, run into him with Millennia of Experience afterwards. Contentious Disregard's always really good. Let the Galaxy Burn gives ignore cover, you're not going to use it on him. But the main one is this one, which is the Endless Ire. If you kill your Focus of Hatred within 12 inches, you can select another one, and he basically just ignores that rule for most of your armor, which is really good. So you're basically giving him free rerolls to hit. Where would I rank him? S tier. I think he's really good. He is genuinely really strong. He doesn't take up a character slot. Well, he does take up a character slot, but you can run him as a lieutenant pretty much. You can run him with a Chaos Lord, which is really strong. Obviously, you're going to put a lot of points into that, but again, free rerolls to hit pretty much with like 1 wound off a unit is super strong, and it always will be, especially in this detachment. Next up is the Master of Possession, not Executions. We've just done. So the Mop. This guy got absolutely shafted. I'll be real, I don't really rate this guy anymore. He's still a really good sniper. I mean, the idea like strength 6 minus 3 damage, 2 shots, anti-psyker plus 2, hazardous pistol, precision and psychic. You can just snipe a character off the table, which is all right. He's a tech choice into K-Suns. K-Suns hate this guy. He gets +1 to advance and charge rolls made for the unit. He can run as Chosen, Legionaries, or Possessed. He's 70 points, which isn't the worst. Having full rerolls to hit on them 2 shots is great as well, because you want to make sure those actually hit, as opposed to rather wounding, because obviously you're going to be wounding on 2s if you're attacking a Psyker, or you're going to be wounding on like 3s most of the time anyway, because strength 6 is like a really good break point. Sacrificial Dagger means he also gets +1 to hit and +1 to wound if you get 1 mortal wound on your unit, which, again, pretty nice. You get +1 to wound, rerolling all your hits due to Focus Hatred, usually. Wounding on a 2-up anyway, most of the time, or a 3-up, so yeah. It hits really hard, but it's only 2 shots, strength 6 minus 3 damage. The +1 to advance and charge rolls is really good. Sorry, it's not really good, it's good. For 70 points, he's actually not bad. He's not as good as he used to be, I'll be honest, especially with Possessed. Like, he's just not as strong as he used to be, but he's better in pack-bound, in my opinion, because he's just a bit redundant. Where would I rank him? I'd probably put him in like C tier. I don't rate him as often as I used to. I thought he were really mid, but he is, especially in this detachment, he's just not very remarkable. He's not outstanding. Next up is the Sorcerer. Oh, this guy. So, 6-inch move, toughness 4, 3-up, armor, no invul for some reason, even though he's a Psyker. So he's got Prescience, which means he gets -1 to hit for the unit that he is attached to, and that applies to melee and ranged. And his Gift of Chaos means that each time the model is selected to shoot or fight, after resolving its attacks, select an enemy unit hit by more than one of those attacks that had the psychic ability, and that unit must take a leadership test. If that test is failed, it suffers D3 mortal wounds. He's 60 points. He is a very weird character, and he's always been bad. Like, I just don't rate him at all. I think he's trash. I never ever see this guy, and he's just mid. Like, yeah, he's cheap, but the problem is no invul, 3-up armor, toughness 4. You're basically just begging a assassin to just shoot his head off, which is unfortunate. But, you know, that's the par for the course. So next up is the Sorcerer in Terminator armor, one of my favourite models. So he sacrifices an inch of movement but gains a point of toughness. He gets a 4-up invul and a 2-up armor, 5 wounds and a 6-up leadership. 4-up invul, sorry, not a 6-up. So he gets reroll, advance, and charge, and he also gets the point and die, basically, ability, which is Death Hex, which is the one where you point at a unit within 12 inches that's visible to him. Roll a d6. On a 1, you suffer d3 mortals, but on a 2-up, until the start of your next movement phase, everything that targets the unit is -1 AP. This is really strong, like, especially now with full rerolls to hit on a unit. You can put that on your Focus of Hatred or some kind of, well, if you're able to play it on your Focus of Hatred, you are definitely going to feel it. This guy is really, really good as well, just for the fact that he can be run with Terminators. I normally run him with Terminators, mainly due to the advance and charge rolls. Again, the amount of shots you're throwing out is really good. His shooting's actually not too bad. Strength 6 -2 D3 damage, D6 shots. He can use his Combi Bolter as well, which is really good. You want to be running... I know, obviously, the meta loadout for Terminators is like the one special weapon, but I think genuinely just fishing for mortal wounds while he is in the unit, especially, it gives Terminators a lot more maneuverability, which is great. Yeah, he just benefits really well. As a Terminator, he benefits a lot more from the Millennia of Experience stratagems. That's the 6-inch movement, with reactive movement, sorry. Really, really good with Eager for Vengeance, because obviously if you're running a 10-man unit of Terminators, you get to fall back and shoot, and if you target your Focus of Hatred, you get +1 to hit and +1 to charge, and then you're re-rolling the charge rolls made for that unit and your advanced rolls anyway. Where would I rank him? S tier. I think he's really good. I think he's going to be brought in every single list I've got. I still think he's really good, and he's been strong for a very long time. Trait Reinforcer, we're just going to quickly find you. and put you where you belong in the F tier because you are absolutely garbage. I'm not going to get into why this guy's good. He's sorry, bad rather. He's just He's just trash. He's really bad. I don't even bring him in any circumstances. So Vashtorr no longer trash Tor. This guy got a massive buff. So he's 12-inch move, toughness 10, 4 up armor. 4 up invul, 2 up armor, 14 wounds, but he can be bracketed. 6 up leadership and 3 OC. He's got deep strike. This guy is like really strong in the Warpforged Soul Pack. Just really strong. Again, strength 14, minus 2, 3 damage, 6 attacks, hitting on 2s, anti-vehicle plus 4, dev wounds. You get a really good flamer, which is strength 5, minus 2, 1 damage. He's 190 points. Each time an enemy unit is within 18 inches of the model and they target him, the unit's ranged weapons have hazardous, which means that they have a chance to blow themselves up, which is quite funny. So it's don't shoot me or you're going to get hurt, or if you don't shoot me, I'm going to run at you and bonk you with a hammer. And any demon vehicle that's within 6 inches of him gets +1 to the strength of the characters characteristics, which is great. So you've got your Forgefiends now strength 11. Pretty much just a super nasty unit. Or model rather. He does well from the rerolls to hit, especially due to the low amount of attacks he's got. In combat, the guy's nasty. I actually think this guy is a lot better in the Warpforged Soul Pack, mainly because that's his detachment. But where would I rank this guy? I honestly think A tier. I think Vashtorr's really strong. He is a pain in the ass to deal with. Yeah, he's only T10 and he's 14 wounds, but the hazardous ability is really good just for doing a shitload of mortal wounds and killing units off. So, for example, if you've got a unit of Space Marines and they go, oh, we can plink a few wounds off him. Nope, you suffer a mortal wound. And each time you fail, that model dies, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. So if it's a character, it's 3 mortal wounds, and I believe if it's a regular guy, it's just, a mortal wound, and that character model, the regular infantry model dies. So it's just a stupid amount of damage, really. So you don't want to shoot this guy, but you can't afford to not shoot him, and the deep strike makes him a lot easier to get into positions. So yeah, he's, again, despite his 190 points cost, I think he's really good. It's nice to see Vashtorr getting some respect put on his name for once. Warpsmith, this guy again, another really good choice. He can lead Havocs, Legionaries, and Chosen. There is a weird little niche stratagem where you put him with a unit of Havocs, give him the Eye of Abaddon, which gives him brings him up to 85 points. He's originally 70. Get Havocs with las cannons and just shoot a vehicle for Focus of Hatred, and there's a 50% chance that you are going to nuke it to death. And get a command point afterwards, which is okay. But again, Havocs are not the best. They're not bad, but they're not the best. So he's got okay shooting, very short range. He does have lone op, which means that if he's within 3 inches of a vehicle, he gets lone op. And yeah, he can heal vehicles and get +1 to hit, which is great if you're running like a Land Raider or a Predator. And he's very weird. At the end of the movement phase, select one enemy vehicle within 12 inches of the model, and that unit must take a battle shock test. He's cheap. He can be run with Chosen, Havocs, or Legionaries. He's better in Warpforged Soul Pack. In Warpforged Soul Pack, I genuinely think this guy's S tier. I think he's really strong. In this detachment, though, I would probably rank him. I'll be honest, I actually think he's really good, especially if you bring in like your vehicles and stuff and you're slapping this guy next to him. It's just really good. Not as like reliable as he is. Honestly, A tier. I think a lot of people are going to think I'm on crack. Yes, but it's my list, so I determine who goes where. I'm not going to put Lucius on because I'm not doing Emperor's Children. Next up, Cultist Mob. So these guys are the exception to the damned rule in my experience. So they are 50 points for 10 models. Bear with, I'm just going to yawn. So yeah, sorry about that. So it's 50 points for 10 models, 20 for 100. The standard cultist. You stick on an objective at the end of your command phase, and then it gives it sticky, and then you move somewhere else. But your loadout's absolutely terrible. You are damned, so you don't get the benefits of the detachment rule. but you want a cheap objective holder that can hold an objective and then do random shit in other stuff. So, where would I rank them? In this detachment, where are you? There you are. S tier. Cultists are just a really, really strong unit, mainly for the sticky objectives. It's the fact that you can then prioritize your other units to do something. If you bring like one unit, a cultist mob, and just put them on your home field objective all game and screen, or just even a unit of 20, just run them forward and just do whatever. It's like 100 points for 20 models that can screen really well and capture an objective. And then you don't have to worry about them. That objective's captured. Stick it at the end of your command phase. Okay, move up, do whatever, do some actions. Get engaged on all fronts. Place homing beacons, whatever. These guys are just genuinely S tier. I think they're S tier in a majority of the detachments. I don't think they are a very bad pick in any situation. I think you're always going to want to bring a squad of 10 cultists. They're that useful. Maybe more, maybe two if you've got two home objectives or one. It depends. You can genuinely just bring them anywhere and they'll still do really well. Now, where would I rank them? Again, S tier. I still think they're S tier. They're really good. Legionaries. This is. I'm not going to waste your time. This one's obvious. Legionaries are S tier at the minute. They did get a points nerf. They are now 180 for 10, which is it's not the worst. It's still really good. 5 for 90. It were originally 80, if I'm not mistaken, or 85, but still really good. Rerolling wound rolls are 1 in melee and full rerolls to wound if you're on an objective. You are going to want to be on an objective with these guys. They have a chaos icon, which means they can reroll leadership tests. They've got nasty melee with the heavy melee weapons at strength 8 minus 2 damage. Running with chain swords or a cursed weapon on one guy if you want. They've got an okay amount of shooting. You can bring them with a special weapon. I usually bring them with the Havoc or cannon if I do. But I have also been known to bring a last cannon just in case. Again, it's one shot, hitting on 3s if you're still, hitting on 4s if you're not. The ability to have that last cannon there though, and then just shoot and possibly do damage to a tank. I know it's one shot, but it's still quite useful. I've had it before where I've shot a tank and I've done 7 damage to it with one shot from this thing, from a legionary squad. It's just ridiculously good. They're a melee focused unit though, like not 100%. They're good with pretty much everything that you can be. You can bring them with all of these guys. Synergize really well with the Dark Apostle. Synergize really well with the Chaos Lord. Probably the Master of Execution Chaos Lord combo is really good. Synergize really well with your Sorcerer and Terminator armors, -1 AP, so that gives them the -2 AP in melee, rerolling all wounds and rerolling all hits if it's your focus of hatred. Just a super strong unit. I think they're really, really good. I think they're arguably our best unit. I think they're really, really strong. Next up is the Rhino. The good old Rhino. Fire in deck 2, which is pretty funny because you can just slap a Legionary squad in there or a Chosen squad and just shoot out of it. You get 1 wound at the end of every 1 lost wound at the end of the start of your command phase. My apologies. 75 points for a unit. That's 12-inch move, toughness 9, 3 up armor. The new pivot rule changes have been really good for this guy. He did get a really weird choice of loadout. Like they changed his loadout, which I thought was a bit weird. He can also you can put 12 Heretic Astartes units in him, so 10 unit are chosen with either a Chaos Lord or a Master of Executions. You can honestly put them with Legionaries as well, and you still be really good. Run them up to an objective, disembark, and then you just block the pathways up to your opponent. They're really, really good. 75 points, man, for a Rhino. Like they're obviously going to be an S tier. Like they're just a super, super strong, solid, reliable transport. You're never going to really complain if you've got a Rhino. Chaos Space Marines don't have that much maneuverability anyway, so the Rhino gives them the ability to have a cheap, armoured alternative to pretty much not getting shot off the board turn 1. They're not going to tank like a ridiculous amount of shots, and AP3 plus will do a lot of damage to them, obviously, because you're bringing them up to a 6 up armour, but again, who cares? Like these guys, it's just a super strong choice. Everyone knows the Rhino. You know the Rhino. I know the Rhino. I ain't gonna waste your fucking time. So Noctilith Crown. If it's wholly models wholly within 9 inches of the fortification, you can improve the leadership characteristic by 1. It's all right. You get benefit of cover if you're within it as well. No one cares. No one's bringing this for 125 points. Don't care. It's got no shooting. Oh no, sorry, it does. It's 6-inch, strength 8, -1/2 damage. No point, because your opponent's just going to shoot the shit out of this. No. In fact, no, actually, it can actually do something on a very niche circumstance. Accursed Cultists. Scouts are really nice. You get that 6-inch scout move. Nice to block again. Better with a Cultist Detachment. I'll be real with you. Still nasty in melee. D6 +2, so strength 5 -1/2 damage, and D6 +2 attacks hitting on 4s with the torments. Again, they did get a price hike. They are now 90 points for 8, which is just weird to me. And they also have the Horde rule for the Blood Surge rule, from the World Eaters Berserkers, where if you lose a model, one or more models, you can roll 1d6 and move up to that number of inches, but it must end up closest to the closest possible enemy unit, excluding aircraft. And the model can be moved within. It's basically just Blood Surge. So if I shoot one of these guys and kill one, they then will roll a d6, and that guy has to then charge the closest. Move closest towards the closest visible enemy. So it's pretty nice. Not the worst roll. Again, damned so you don't get the benefit of the rerolls, but I don't think they're offensively bad. Right, so this one's a weird one. I'm gonna put. Hold on, actually, while we're here. Oh well, I can't spell. Just bear with me, gentlemen, or whoever's watching this, rather. Oh. It appears I can't do anything. Just bear with me. Right, so they're just absolutely terrible. I'm just going to leave them. That and that. So the F tier, I just think are genuine F tier garbage units, and I'm going to put these two in the not made for this detachment because I do think they are really good. But again, not made for this detachment. It's a Veterans of the Long War detachment. If this was a general tier list, it'd be a lot higher. But either way, I think they're actually really, really useful. Bikers, these guys got a really weird change. Their ability to outmaneuver just doesn't work anymore. They can't come off the battlefield and jump in again. They just get +1 strength on the attack when they charge. So strength 9 power fist, strength 6 accursed weapons. That's it. It's pretty weird. You do get to reroll it. They are 70 points for T5, 3 wounds, 4 up. 12-inch move, T5, 3 up armor, 3 wounds for 70 points. Pretty good, actually, not too bad. Again, rerolling hits is really good with these guys. They have got quite a lot of attacks. They're very fast. They can skirmish pretty well. Again, that T5 breakpoint's always really good. Where would I rank them, though? Bikers are, in my experience, really fun. I think if they had the previous ability, they would be in a better spot. But I would put them in, maybe just below Bile, because you want skirmisher units that are cheap, that are fast. Bikers, you just throw them up board, skirmish with some random shitty troops your opponent's got, keep them busy while your other guys move up from behind, and then they die, they've done the job. If they don't die and they kill stuff, they can't really be ignored bikers. They're good into light infantry. They're very simple. They're basically just cavalry. They're good into light infantry, good at getting around into flanks, but if they encounter a castle or a unit that's very difficult to shift, they're just going to basically just do nothing from range. They can do a lot more with the Black Crusade rule, though, which is quite funny, because you can just spam combi bolters and just shoot the shit out of them, but most of the time you're going to be wanting to run the plasma guns or the melter. You're never really going to want to bring the combi bolters. But yeah, I think they're a solid B tier choice. The +1 strength is just a really weird change, to be honest with you. But again, they do benefit from the 6-inch reactive move too, so they are a bit of a pain to pin down if your opponent tries to get them. Next up, my beloved, the Land Raider, the party bus. I absolutely fucking love this model. Toughness 12, 2 up armor, 16 wounds, 6 up leadership, 10-inch move, and 5 OC. It's got a combi weapon, Havoc launcher, 4 soul shatter las cannons, which means that it can shoot 4 strength 12 minus 3 d6 plus 1 damage shots. It also has a twin heavy bolt with sustained hits 1 and twin link, which is great. Melee is quite funny. It's straight 6 attacks, it's hitting on 4 strength 8 minus 0 AP, 1 damage each. And each time a unit disembarks from this model after it's made a normal move, it can declare a charge. Really, really strong. Expensive at 240 points, but you can slap a unit of 10 chosen in this guy. This guy is the better alternative to Havocs, because obviously T12 on a chassis is really good. He's not as maneuverable, but having full rerolls to hit and having them sustains as well is really good. So yeah, he's really, really strong. You get ignore cover, so you get that nasty extra AP if you're shooting stuff. You can pop Contemptuous Disregard on him and get that AP -1 on it, so he might be surviving. He's surviving las cannons and their equivalents on 2 ups now, which is 4 ups instead of 2 ups. That would be ridiculous. So instead of a 5 up, you're now getting a 4 up on a las cannon shot, which is really good. You can pop smoke again if you want to get that -1 to hit, and you get the the benefit of cover, which is all right. And the Bringers of Despair, you're not really going to use that on him because it's a fucking Land Raider. But it does bracket again. This guy's really good if you pop a Watersmith next to him. Full rerolls to hit on them last cannons is nasty. You can delete some tanks with this and other vehicles. He's just a really strong unit. I'm going to be very bold here and put him at the top of A tier. If anyone will disagree with me, please leave a comment, because not only are you boosting engagement, but I want to see some Land Raider appreciation. I want to see people in the chat with a W to the Land Raider, the best tank. And I am very biased, but I don't care. So next up after the Land Raider is the Predator Annihilator. So Predator Annihilator is 140 points. They did get a points increase. I believe that both variants are now 140, which is still really good. I mean, 140 points for a dedicated anti-tank unit is really, really good. Toughness 10, 10-inch move, 3 up armor, 11 wounds. You get your regular las cannon spam, so you get 2 las cannons, and then you get the Predator twin las cannon at the top, which is strength 14 minus 3 d6 plus 1, which is nasty. Full rerolls to hit on them low quality high strength damage shots is really good. They benefit generally really well. They can also reroll the damage rolls of 1 against monsters and other vehicles. This is a very good anti-tank tank, but I do think that the Land Raider is just better, mainly for the transport aspect. Yeah, you are paying 100 points more, and this thing does hit quite hard, but honestly, we'll show some respect. I know it's it's low A tier. I still think it's really, really strong. A lot of people are going to be bringing Annihilators, but they're probably going to be bringing this one more, which is the Destructor. So the Destructor is the anti-elite infantry / anti infantry, just in general, really. Tank, 140 points as mentioned previously. Same stats as the other one, so toughness 10, 10-inch move, 3 up armor, 11 wounds, 6 up leadership, 3 OC. You're going to bring it with the Predator auto cannons. I believe you can run the Predator auto cannon and 2 las cannons as well. But you do get increased AP if you target in an infantry unit. Again, it depends. I think you can bring, let me just check. It can be equipped with a Predator auto cannon. Can be equipped with 2 heavy bolters or 2 las cannons and 1 combi bolter and a Havoc launcher. So this guy can throw out a lot of attacks. So you've got your Havoc launcher at -1 AP, which is great. You also have your heavy bolter at AP -2 if you do bring 2 of those instead. Your las cannons if you target an infantry. Again, I don't know why you're targeting infantry with las cannons, but -4 AP on that. Your auto cannon's really good as well. Especially this also stacks with the Sorcerer and Terminator armor, by the way. So you can get -5 AP on a last cannon, -3 AP on a Predator auto cannon. The Contemptuous Disregard's really good on him as well, because that extra -3 AP brings him to a 6-up. You can bring him to a 5-up, which is always better. That's an increased 16% chance of survival. Where would I put this guy, though? It's again the AP armor thing. Sorry, the extra AP against infantry is really good, especially when you are running in with the what you call it. In fact, I think Vashtor's better than him. No, actually, no. I think Abaddon's like middle A tier. I think this guy's better than the Destructor. I've probably got the wrong ones, but either way, just understand the Destructor's that one, the Annihilator's that one. I don't care if it's the other way around. So next up is the Spawn. 70 points for 2 models that don't fucking do anything. Yeah, you get -1 OC on a unit, but oh, what's that? That sounds so fucking good. When an enemy unit excluding a vehicle is within 3 inches of the unit and they're on an objective, they get -1 OC. Oh my god, your opponent can't score anything on that OC if they've got like elite infantry and they're only 1 OC. Oh my god, that's really good. No, it's fucking not. They're 1 OC. Sorry, 0 OC. They don't do anything. They're shit. Yeah, the full rerolls to hit are nice, but again, they're not even heretic. Oh, they do technically have the heretic status keyword, so they do benefit from that full rerolls to hit. 5 feel no pain's always nice, especially now with the Dev Wounds rework. D6 plus 2 attacks is too swingy. Strength 5 -1 2 damage is just weird. Again, 2 models for 70 points is just really bad. I don't think they're offensively bad, but I think they ain't remarkable in any stretch of the imagination. Yeah, standard Chaos Terminators. So 185 points for 5, 370 for 10. And you can bring them with a lot of Power Fists. I think it's 6 Power Fists you can bring on. With a 10-man squad, 6 Power Fists, pretty much 18 attacks, I think. My math is correct. Yes, 18 attacks. Sustains on 6s, re-rolling all your hits anyway because you've got Despoilers. They don't benefit directly from the Despoilers rule. I understand why a lot of people think Terminators are either really shit or really good. I'm personally in the latter camp. I think they're actually really, really strong. I always bring 10 Terminators with a Terminator Sorcerer, and they always put in work. A lot of the times, you are dealing with people who can counter that, depending on the faction, obviously. They can just shoot your Terminators off the board or kill them in melee. The Combi Bolter spam's really good again with the Terminator Lord. You can just throw out a ridiculous amount of shots and get dev wounds. Up to 6 though, but still pretty nasty. They've got, quite frankly, an absurd amount of firepower. The problem is they're very expensive. They're really easy to counter. A lot of people know how to beat Terminators, but you can still, force them to do something. Like, yeah, Terminators are a threat that you can't really ignore, because it's a case of, all right, okay, that's fine. These guys are just going to sit on one side of the objective or one side of the map, and they're just going to dart pact every turn and get full rerolls to hit on everything. I'm just going to make that other guy my focus of hatred instead. So they offer that as an alternative because of the base kit. So if anything, these guys actually they don't benefit from the detachment rule, but they also benefit a lot more in general, because you're not going to want to use Focus of Hatred on a unit that's nearby these guys, unless you're wanting to do the fights first stratagem. Again, that's up to the game and how it turns out. But most of the time, you are just going to want to leave these guys. They'll be quite autonomous. They can do whatever they want. Full rerolls to hit in melee and at range, especially when they make a Dark Pact. You don't need to worry them. You put them down there, you move them up, you kill stuff. That's it. It's that easy. Where would I put them? If with that said, a lot of people don't like them, but I don't care. So I'm going to put these S tier. I think Terminator is really good. A lot of people are going to think, oh, they're at least like A tier or B tier. No. I genuinely, from my experience, Terminators are hard carrying me games. They are phenomenally useful, and you're probably going to be like, oh, you're playing against a lot of noobs. No, I just play the game. I play whoever's there, to be honest. But again, there are blatant weaknesses. You are going to have to play these guys really, really well if you get benefits from them. But the Terminators will put in work, and they by proxy benefit from. They don't benefit, like I said earlier, just to summarise, and I've said this before, they don't benefit from the detachment rule, but they benefit from all of our stratagems, and they are a mini focus of hatred, and they can also do really nasty damage in fights first if you plan for that, which is why they're at S tier in my experience, despite the price tag. Next up is the Vindicator. This guy got a points nerf. He's now 185 points. Toughness 11, 9-inch move, 2 up armor, which is great. 11 wounds, so he can bracket. 6 up leadership, 3 OC. He's got that nasty strength 14 minus 3 d6 cannon at d6 plus 3 shots, and he can shoot as if there's no penalty when he's in engagement range. Again, this guy's just really, really good. Bring us excuse me. Let the Galaxy burn for ignore cover, so you can't hide behind it. Really good into hordes because of the blast keyword. Contemptuous disregard on a 2-up armor tank. Really, really strong. 185 points. Yeah, he is short range, but I still think he's really strong. I would put him at just below the Land Raider. I think the Land Raider's better. But the Vindicator is definitely... You could honestly make an argument for S tier. I'll be honest, if someone were to give a convincing argument, I would probably put it in S tier. But I still think they're a very, very good tech choice because of literally just due to sheer amount of strength. You're wounding a lot of T13, T12 on 3s, and then re-rolling all your hits, and then possibly getting even more hits, which is mathematically better, because the only time you want to be using lethal hits is when you're running if you're running a wounding, on 5 or 6s. Whereas most of the time you're not. With this guy, you're wounding on 3s or 2s at the very highest. Very rarely are you going to get something that's toughness 14. But again, it's there in case you need it. I still think they're really good. Chosen, a personal favourite of mine. They are now 125 points for 5 and 250 for 5. These guys are really good. They get advance and charge, so you can get a Chaos Lord with advance and charge, a Dark Apostle with advance and charge, so you get that nasty +1 to wounding melee. So strength 5 minus 2, 1 damage, 4 attacks on your accursed weapon. You get your Power Fist and your paired accursed weapon as well, which is great. So you get full rerolls to hit, and you're twin linked on the paired accursed weapons, which is basically full rerolls to hit and wound. They're just really, really strong. I think a lot of people don't rate the Chosen now, which again I don't really understand. They're a very good in between Terminators and Legionaries. Yeah, they're very, very strong. Advance and charge is really good. Fall back and charge is really strong as well, especially with the Let the Galaxy Burn rule, where you can just fall back and shoot. Not Let the Galaxy Burn, sorry, it'd be Black Crusade, I believe. Yeah, they're really good with the +1 to wound from the Dark Apostle. Fabius Bile makes them strength 6, toughness 5. Huron gives them that adaptability for movement. Chaos Lord just gives them free stratagem, so you get the free Armor of Contempt, which is great. You also get the Master of Executions with these guys, so you get 4 rerolls to hit if you slap one of them guys on, but that's mainly due to the Master of Executions. Again, yeah, where do I rank these guys? Chosen, despite the price tag, are still really, really strong. I think they are definitely S tier, but I still prefer Terminators due to the durability. But yeah, Chosen are S tier in this detachment, especially. I think they're really, really strong. Next up is the Murder Crab, the Defiler, my beloved. I'm having an affair with the Land Raider, but the Defiler, I'll be happy if the Defiler takes me back. But it's for the moment, it's all about the Land Raider. The Defiler's still got a warm place in my heart. So Murder Crab has had a slight rework. So now he's still got the same stats, I believe. So it's movement 8, toughness 10, 3 up armor, 5 up invul, 14 wounds, 6 up leadership, 5 OC. You've still got that Defiler cannon, which is actually really nasty. So your light transports at T9, T8. You're wounding them on 3s. You get D6 plus 3 shots. Strength 10 minus 1, 3 damage on blast, which is great. The melee on this guy is horrible though. Like, oh my days! If strength 16, man. Defiler's Claws, 5 attacks, hitting on 3s. Strength 16, minus 3, d6 plus 1. Scourge, strength 12, minus 1, 2 damage. 3 attacks, hitting on 3s. 4 rerolls to hit on all them bad boys. So, Fat Archon pointed this one out really well. And again, shout out to Fat Archon. If you haven't subscribed to that guy, please do. He's really good. And he knows a lot more about the game than I do. But I'm still going to put content out. So, he can use counter-offensive stratagem for free, even if someone's already used it. So if you fight first with somebody with the stratagem, the Bringers of Despair, against your focus of hatred, then if you're in combat with another guy who's trying to interrupt you, no, counteroffensive. So one army that is within engagement range from one of your more units that has not been selected fights next, he gets that for free. So 2 CP strat for free if you're in melee. This guy's going to probably kill whatever's in melee with it. So I really, really rate the Defiler. The Scuttling Walker is really good too, because he gets a normal or advanced move. He can move over friendly monsters and vehicle models as if they were not there, and he also gets to move over terrain that's over 4 inches or less. For 190 points, he's still pretty expensive, and he does bracket. But I genuinely think the Defiler is really, really good, especially with this. So the full rerolls to hit give him that massive damage buff and that extra reliability, so you're not worrying. He will kill your focus of hatred if he's in combat with it, unless they get really, really lucky and you get really unlucky. He's a really good tech choice. A lot of people don't rate him because he's a very clunky model, quite big and quite easy to focus down. But I would personally rank him B tier. I think he is. I run him in pretty much every game, mainly because I always forget to bring the Land Raider now. Well, because I haven't finished painting him yet. But the Defiler has always put in work. He is the old reliable, and now he's better. If it was old school, I'd probably rank him D because everyone says, "Oh, he's so hard to move." Blah blah. I don't give a fuck if he's hard to move. He's a murder crab. Get him on a fucking building or get him behind something, run him through, and just absolutely butcher him. I don't want to hear excuses. I want to hear the snapping of their hulls as soon as their little Space Marine counterparts run out and scream as the giant murder crabs there to fucking crustate them to a new life period. See, crustate, get it? A joke? Never mind, forget it. Right, so next up, Felgor Beastmen. Just a weird unit. These guys don't benefit from the rule, I believe. So you can select it. I'm not going to bother reading that shit. They're not the worst unit in the Codex, but they're not great either. They got the scout removed, which is really stupid. We had a good scout unit, and now a scout unit. Sorry, rather should I say? And now it's no longer a thing. But you can select it in the strategic reserves. You can treat it as if it's one round earlier. Wow, that's really good. And for 85 points for 10 models, wow. Except most of the time you're hitting on 4s, and you don't reroll all your hits because they're not part of that. Absolutely, there's no point. They're absolutely terrible. Forgefiend, the big boy, the gunny gun guy, as opposed to his punchy punch brother. So, 8-inch move, toughness 10, 3 up armor, 5 up invul, 12 wounds, sorry, not 14, 12, 6 up leadership, 3 OC. So he's got the ectoplasma cannon. It's the triple one, obviously. Everyone knows what this does. It's the Forgefiend. 190 points. So he's got a points cut. He's now 190. He was originally 200. I think he does have a place. I'll be honest. I think he still has a place. So 3d3 shots with blast, rerolling all your hits. So you're fishing for 6s to get them sustains. You're more than likely going to hit all your shots if you're hitting on 3s. Slap this guy next to a warp smith. He's better, obviously. Listen, this guy's better in Warforged for Soul Pack. It's a vehicle and a demon engine. He gets +1 to wound from range if he's shooting something. Most of the time he's winning on 3s. Now he's mostly winning on 2s. He's still going to be winning on 3s or 4s most of the time, because if you're shooting up, you can do that. But again, strength 10, -3, 3 damage. It's a stupid amount of damage. This guy, and it's dev wounds. Like it's just, and yeah, it's hazardous, but who gives a shit? Like, no, I'm not bothered. But if I was to put him somewhere, I would genuinely put him like. It's his price that carries it, I think, a bit. I still think he's 80. Right, let me have a look. Yep, 80 is fine. 190, yep, that's fine. Right, so next up is his Chaos Space Marine counterparts, the Havocs, the dedicated anti-infantry, anti-vehicle guys, heavy weapons team. 135 points for 5. You get 4 las cannons, 4 Havoc auto cannons, 4 missile launchers, or not 4 missile launchers, sorry. Oh yeah, 4 missile launchers, 4 auto cannons, 4 heavy bolters, 4 las cannons, or Reaper chain cannons. I brought them with chain cannons in a few games, and they were absolutely fucking terrible. 8 shots on 4, yeah, you get 32 shots, but the shit. Strength 5, 0, 1 into anyone with a 3 up save is just going to laugh at it. Yeah, you're hitting on 3s and re-rolling all your hits pretty much guarantees you a 100% hit rate most of the time. Very nice to have. But again, like I mentioned in a previous video, the Havoc's effectiveness for anti-tank diminishes. They are a better anti-tank unit than they are anything else. But the problem is they're 135 points. Just pay 5 points extra and you get any of the Predators that just do their job better. But again, the ballistics stabilization talons is just quite frankly a ridiculous rule. It's stupidly good. Blast cannons are just okay. In them, you get 4, but the problem is they're only T5, 2 wounds. So if anyone shoots at them and they die, congratulations, you've lost a quarter of your damage output, and their effectiveness diminishes as the game goes on. So yeah, they might hit really hard originally, but as soon as you start losing people, and as soon as the enemy starts losing vehicles on a good day, you are going to then find, oh, these guys are pretty fucking useless because they're only 1 OC, they're only 5-inch move, they don't really have any melee capabilities other than the sergeant, and that's if you keep the sergeant around. Because my sergeant is, I'll be honest, I don't even know why I fucking bring him because he dies every single time I fail a dart pact. He's just acts as he's like a fodder character because he can only bring a melee weapon and a plasma gun or whatever. Havocs are really fucking weird. I've started to really get turned off by them. I used to really rate them, but I do think they are quite strong if you bring them with las cannons. But there are better alternatives. So I'd probably put them like there, like mid B tier. Yeah, so pretty reasonable. What's next? Hellbrute. So, Hellbrute, personal funny model. Where are you? There you are. So this guy is still the same rule, so he still gets both dart packs if you pass both of them. So, for example, if you choose lethals, you get sustains as well, and if you choose sustains, you get lethals as well, which is nice. But again, 6-inch move, toughness 9, 2 up armor, 8 wounds, quite easy to chew through. He has 130 points, and his melee damage is pretty absurd. I'm not going to lie. So his ability, devoted to destruction. If this model is equipped with 2 melee weapons in addition to its close combat weapon, add 2 to the characteristics on the attacks of those weapons. So you get, I think it says on those 2 weapons. So it'd be a Hellbrute Fist and Hellbrute Hammer. Maybe even, yeah, so your Hellbrute Fist, you get 7 attacks, hitting on 3, strength 12, -2, 3 damage. And the Hellbrute Hammer is hitting on 4, strength 14, -3d6 plus 1 damage. So this thing does a lot of melee damage, but it's getting him into melee, that's the thing. So yeah, he does get Contemptuous Disregard, which is it's nice on it. And again, this is a general rule. Anything that has a 2-up armor save is really good with Contemptuous Disregard because it gives them that extra 16% benefit. So they just ignore most of the AP, which is really good. So they get a 16% increase in the survivability. Fight first on this guy actually is quite nasty. If your opponent Focus of Hatred charges him, he can just pop that and then just beat the shit out of him. Because if he's ran double melee at least. Other than that, you want to run him around, keep him very well hidden, and he will benefit your army really well, especially with rerolls to hit. You're fishing for them 6s, you can reroll all the hits and fish for the doubles, both lethal and sustains, which is great. Where would I rank him though? He's 130 points, he can get killed quite easily. I would put him like A tier. I still think he is really, really good if you can play him well. That's if you play him well. If you're like a total idiot and you just decide to run in there and get him killed, you're basically wasting your points. But yeah, that's just, we all make mistakes. So, when the bloody browser wants to load, I want to do the Helldrake next, so just bear with me, those who are watching. Are we done? Helldrake, all that time to be put in the F tier. That's right, you are fucking useless. 205 points, wow. What do? You get +1 to hit against fly units, and your 20-inch move, 3 up armor, 5 pinball, toughness 9. Wow, if I ever get an army full of fly units, I'm going to just throw these 3 at him. Focus of Hatred's nice on him, but he's just trash. He's too expensive, too big. Don't bother bringing him. Cornlord of Skulls. This guy's a weird one, but I do love him. 8-inch move, toughness 13. Big toughness bracket. 3 up armor, 5 up invul, 24 wounds, 6 up leadership, 8 OC. It's 450 points, but you do get, just look at his stats, man. So I'll just run through each individual weapon he's got. He's got the Demon Core Cannon, which is 18-inch range, D6 shots, hitting on 3, strength 14, minus 4, D6 plus 2. The Gore Storm Cannon, which is 24-inch range, D6 plus 3, hitting on 3, strength 10, minus 2, 3 damage. The Gatling Cannon, which is 48-inch range, 12 shots, hitting on 3, strength 8, minus 2, 2 damage. Icor Cannon, or Icor Cannon, is probably pronounced Icor. 48-inch range, 2d6 shots, hitting on 3, strength 7, minus 2, 2. And Skull Hurler, which is 60, 2d6 shots, hitting on 3s, strength 14, minus 3, 3 damage. Just ridiculous. Its ability to plow through the enemy in the fight phase after this model has finished making its attacks. If the model was destroyed by if this model destroyed one or more enemy units in this phase, then select an enemy unit within 6 inches of the model, and that unit must take a battle shock test. The melee on this guy is quite frankly ridiculous. So he's got 5 attacks, hitting on 3, strength 16, minus 4, 8 damage a hit. The sweep is really good too. Strength 8, minus 2, 2 damage, 15 attacks hitting on 3s. You're getting all those rerolls. You're getting that Contemptuous Disregard for that extra AP benefit. Where would I rank this guy? So, he gets bracketed and he's very expensive, but the problem is he hits so fucking hard, it's ridiculous. I think he is absolutely hilarious. What the hell is that noise? My apologies if that came through. But yeah, I'd put him like there. I think he's fun. He's just a really, really fun tech choice. And he also does quite frankly, a fucking ridiculous amount of damage, but the price tag's definitely there. So Mauler Fiend. These guys are actually really, really like sought after now. 130 points for a toughness 10, 10-inch move, toughness 10, 3 up armor, 5 up invul, 12 wounds, 6 up leadership, 3 OC model. You can bring them with the magma cutters, which is good. So you're getting them 2 attacks, melted 2, so d6 plus 2 damage, strength 9 minus 4, d6 plus 2 damage each if you're within half range. Lashy tendrils are good, so that extra 6 attacks, strength 7 minus 1, 1 damage. Plus 3, pretty good. So the Mauler Fiend Fists are really nasty as well. Strength 14, minus 2 d6 plus 1 damage, and you can ignore all move characteristic, all advance and charge modifiers. So goodbye Death Guards, minus 2 to charge. This guy's going to get in there and beat you up. He also gets Contemptuous Disregard, which is great. Brings a Despair again if you need it. 130 points. Where would I rank him? I think the Forgefiend's better, but I still think he's really good. I'd say he is just, you put him on the board, you run him up, and he punches stuff. So I'm just going to grab a quick drink and mute my mic, so just bear with me. Right, I'm back. So, yeah, Mauler Fiend's like A tier in this detachment. I think he's better in the, it'd be like ARS. Well, in fact, no, actually. Yeah, it'd be like ARS in the Warp Fiend detachment, but again, this one, full rerolls to hit on all them attacks is pretty nasty. Obliterators. Yikes. These guys are 170 points for 2. You can no longer bring them with the 4-man, so you can only bring them as a 2, which is questionable. But yeah, these guys got a big nerf, so you can't. It's got to be within 9 inches, so you can't. No, I don't believe you can do the ridiculous amount of 6 damage shots anymore. If I'm not mistaken, that seems to have been changed. Because the profile for the Focus Malice originally was 24, like they were all 24-inch. So the 18-inch means it's less than 9 inches, but because it's 9 inches, technically speaking, it's not less than, so you don't get the extra 2 benefit. So you can't drop down and do 6 damage shots like you used to be able to. Granted, though, T7, 2 up armor, 5 up invul, 4 movement, which is really bad, 5 wounds, 6 up leadership, 2 OC. 6-inch reactive move's pretty good because then you can slap them around the corner and do indirect next turn with Warp Rift firepower. But they nerfed the shit out of indirect fire. I don't think you can. Yeah, so when making an attack against a target with an indirect fire weapon, subtract 1 from the attack's hit roll. An unmodified hit roll of 3, 1 to 3 always fails, and the target has the benefit of cover. So I don't think that means you can re-roll them. If that means you can't re-roll your hits, that's actually really shit. But again, most of the time you just drop them down and force them. You basically drop them in front of something, kill it, and then you move next turn, basically, with other stuff. 170 points for 2. Yeah, that's too pricey. Let's see it here. I genuinely think these guys hit really hard, but the range nerf wasn't needed, and the indirect fire changes have definitely not helped them either. But they're still like usable in casual games. I wouldn't write them off yet, but again, D3 shots, too swingy, way too swingy. You've got more reliable and cheaper options for anti-tank or anti-infantry. Obliterators are just redundant. So next up, where are you? Possessed. 9-inch move, toughness 6, 3 up armor, 5 up invul, 3 wounds each, 6 up leadership, and 1 OC. Unholy bloodshed, so they get dev wounds when they're dark packed, basically, but they can only dark packed in melee because they don't have any ranged, and they do get to reroll their leadership with the chaos icon, which is great. They are 250 points for 10, 125 points for 5. You're getting 4 attacks, hitting on 3, strength 5, -1, 2 damage each. Pretty good. They can be run with brought with a Master of Possessions as well. I wouldn't recommend it, but you can do if you want to do that. Yeah, just a solid, really, really. They're better in Pack Bound in my opinion because of the stratagems, but having full rerolls to hit, fishing for those 6s to get the dev wounds in, fishing for hits to get sustains, and then trying to get as many dev wounds as you can possibly, just to do, quite frankly, an absurd amount of damage. They don't do as much damage as they used to do. I think there are better ways to play these guys, especially with Pack-Bound Zealots. I believe they are like the premier unit for Pack-Bound Zealots possessed. They can't do actions, I believe. I'm big correction on that one. I'm open to being corrected on it. I'm not sure if they can or not. I don't think they can. But yeah, they'll basically, you throw them up forward. They're a melee skirmish unit that's quick. T6 is a really good, lovely skill. Break bracket to get to. Other than that, where would I rank them? For this detachment, I think they do benefit quite well from the rerolls to hit, simply just due to the fact that you're going to be fishing for a, quite frankly, ridiculous amount of attacks. 40 attacks on a squad of 10 and 20 on a squad of 5, which is, again, a lot of damage. Stacks really well with the Sorcerer, stacks really well with the... they're just good at killing stuff in melee, but again, they're just... The sheer amount of attacks at mid-strength is good enough to punch through most things, especially with devastating wounds, now being a lot better. Where would I rank them? For this, I would put them... bottom of A tier. The problem is they're good, but they're not made for this detachment. You can still bring them, you can still bring a unit of 5 and still do quite well with them. But I would definitely recommend bringing other alternatives, so like Chosen, Terminators, Legionaries, etc. Bring these guys in Pack Bound instead of this detachment. Next up, Raptors. A lot of people suck off Raptors like they're the second coming of Jesus fucking Christ. No, they are not. They are overrated. 12-inch move, toughness 4, 3 up armor, 2 wounds each. Just standard legionary profile, but they just get double move. They can be brought with a few special weapons, which are alright. I mean, they're nice. The train swords are pretty good. You get the -1 to the leadership test, and they also have to take a battle shock test when you are within engagement range of them at the start of the fight phase, which is good. So if you do get that off, really useful. 5 models are 90 points. Pretty good price. I originally thought they were a bit cheap at 85, but 85 seemed like a good point, price point. 10 is 180. You just run them up the board. 6-inch react movement with the Millennia of Experience. They just synergize really well. You've got the flamers on them as well, which gives them that extra 6 shots with the Galaxy Burn and ignoring cover. They're all right in melee. They're a good skirmishing unit. They're there for just throwing them into a corner of the map if you want to get engaged on all fronts or deploy teleport home or anything like that. Secure enemy outpost is really good on these guys as well, because if your opponent's a dumbass and leaves it open, you can just drop these guys on it, and they're a cheap utility squad. I think they're very overrated. I think a lot of people don't really don't understand how overrated they are. And granted, like I said, it's all subjective. If you find that they are your best unit, more power to you, and I'm very happy that you're enjoying it and they're doing well for you. But from my own experience, I prefer Warp Talons, and this was before they got nerfed and before they got ridiculously overpowered. Where would I rank them in this detachment, though? I would put them at the bottom of A tier. If I was to rank that, actually, I think I would rather bring a Forgefiend than these two, the squad of Raptors. But Raptors are still useful, but they're very overrated. Yeah, Fat Archon's going to hate that because he loves them. But yeah. So Traitor Guardsmen, I originally really liked these guys because they had the sniper. They still do, but they only have one, unfortunately, now, which is sucks. So you can have like one plasma gun, one sniper rifle, and one flamer or grenade launcher. They are 70 points for 10 models. They've got 2 OC, which is great. They get the benefit of cover if they're on a objective marker, which is great. The extra AP is really good. Again, the problem is, though, they are damned, so they don't get the benefit of the reroll hits on the target of hatred. Cultists do a better job than these do as backline objectives. Actually, the grenade launch is quite nice if you're doing it on the crack profile. The sniper's good if you stand still and you hit. Again, it's too swingy for 70 points. There are better alternatives. I'm going to be nice, though, and put them in the not made for this detachment, because I think they're actually pretty good in the cultist detachment, simply due to the fact that you can bring quite a lot of them and just spam snipers and kill all the characters. If they were how they were originally, which was you can bring 3 snipers or 2 snipers in a squad, they would be really, really good, and I would probably put them at like A tier, even if they weren't in this detachment. But as far as it's concerned, I would definitely say that they are not made for this detachment. But I don't think they're bad. I'd say they're like B tier if you were elsewhere. Maybe A. Probably B, actually, on a realistic one. Next up is the Venom Crawler. The Venom Crawler got a nerf. It's now 120 points instead of 110. That's mainly probably just due to the fact that the Warforged Soul Pack exists. But again, Venom Crawler also got a nerf on its I think it was. Yeah, so it's only in melee now. You can only get the benefit of the kill if you kill them in melee. But it's a standard profile, 12-inch move, toughness 9, strength, 3 up armor save, 5 pinball, 9 wounds, 6 up leadership, 3 OC. You've got 12 shots at strength 6 minus 1, 2 damage. Rerolling all your hits is nice on that. Hitting on 3s as well, which is great. So that's most of the time you're going to be hitting that and getting a few sustains. Melee as well. If you focus a hatreds there, you can run in and just strength 6 minus 1, 2 damage on 6 attacks. Not the best, but just a bit weird. You're going to have to play. They're okay, Venom Crawlers. They're a great skirmishing unit. That T9's really good, but again, any dedicated anti-infantry, anti-tank, firepower is going to kill this thing immediately. But it's 120 points. You don't really give a shit. They are better in Warforged Soul Pack, but I think they're still a really solid unit. The nerf to the melee, the killing them and not getting the extra attacks on the weapons is pretty. I'll be honest, pretty big, because most of the time I just shot from a distance and just picked off like random units, and then immediately fucking just ran forward and shot another unit. Let me just have a look. Where are you? There you go. Where would I rank them? Like top of B. A lot of people are going to hate that, but again, you wouldn't be remiss if you brought a single Venom Crawler. Warp Talons. Oh boy, these guys got fucking butchered. So, 12-inch move, toughness 4, 3 up armor, 5 up pinball, 2 wounds, 6 up leadership, 1 OC. They've got really good melee. So 4 attacks, 3 hitting on 3, strength 5, minus 2, 1 damage, twin linked. So if you're attacking your focus of hatred, you get the reroll hits and full rerolls to wound, which is great. At the end of the fight phase, if this unit has destroyed 1 or more enemy units this phase and is not within engagement range or 1 or more enemy units, you can remove the unit from the battlefield and place it in strategic reserves. Originally, it was if you dropped in, fought them, and then fell back, and then you could just jump out of the way and basically just get free kills. They're now 135 points for 5 and 270 for 10, which is ludicrously expensive. You could genuinely get a Predator or well, anything else for that, really. You could probably bring a squad of Legionaries, a squad of Chosen. But Warp Talons are still useful, I think. Especially with the rerolls to the hit, you can more than likely fish for those 6s or lethals if you're punching up. And that will get you the kill that you need in order for them. So if they play well, they're really good. Because you put your focus of hatred on something, they jump in, shred a unit that's on the backline objective, because they're really good at killing like crappy infantry. Even some elite infantry. I mean, the AP2 is really nice because it cuts through a lot of armor really well. Rerolling all your hits, if it's Focus of Hatred, rerolling all wounds is really good too. You're more than likely going to kill whatever you're fighting. If you're punching up and you're thinking you're going to charge a Land Raider and kill stuff with Warp Talons, then please stop thinking that. And please get off the drugs. Other than that, I think it's still really powerful, but you've got to play around it. So I'd say bring them, like, maybe the problem is, you've got to kill stuff. So the thing is a lot of people are going to be like, right, okay, I need to kill it. I'm going to bring 10. So it's 270 points for a unit that might kill whatever it touches and then jump off the board next turn. That's potentially an eighth of your army off the board, not doing anything. Yeah, you killed. Congratulations, you've killed a 10-man squad of guardsmen. They're anemic when they're at 5, but they're too much when they're 10. This is the problem. They're an awkward unit to play, which is why I would put them in the B tier. I think they are still really useful, but I think they're very niche. You're probably going to see one squad of 5 if you do see any at all, and they're just going to be as a tech choice to deal with, like backline grots holding an objective, or like guardsmen, or just random Eldari warriors that are just sat there and unaware that these guys can jump around. They do benefit really well from the Millennia of Experience rule, which is great, and Bringers of Despair on these guys is really good if you get the opportunity to do it as well. But again, that's mainly due to the strength of the stratagem as opposed to the strength of the unit. Just weird. But yeah. So just to do a brief recap, that's everything done. So we're just going to rank it. We'll go from bottom to top because I want to end on a more positive note. So from the not made for this detachment, we've got Chaos Cult, the Accursed Cultist, the Cultists, Traitor Guardsman, not Cultist, what am I talking about? Traitor Guardsman and the Commune, the Dark Commune. F tier, we've got the Sorcerer, Lord Discordant, Felgor Beastmen, Traitor Enforcer, Helldrake, and the Firebrand. E tier, we've got the Noctilith Crown and the Chaos Spawn. D tier, we have the Heretic Astartes Demon Prince without wings, Harken World Claimer and the Jump Pack Lord. C tier, we've got the Master of Possessions, Obliterators, and Harken World Claimer. Bloody the Tyrant of Badab. I forgot his bloody Huron Blackheart. That's the guy. So B tier, we've got Venom Crawler, Defiler, Dark Apostle, Warp Talons, Fabius, Bile, Havocs, Bikers. Actually, I'm going to put Bikers a bit higher. Put them like there. I still think the utility is really good. So Bikers, Fabius, Bile, Havocs, Winged Demon Prince, Terminator Lord with just regular Terminator Lord, and Cipher. A tier, we have the Land Raider, Vindicator, Predator Annihilator, Abaddon, the boy himself, Vashtorr, formerly Trashtor, gone from F tier to A tier, massive. Corn Lord of Skulls, Warpsmith, Predator Destructor, the Forgefiend, Raptors, Maulerfiend, Hellbrute, Possessed, and at the top of S tier we have the Legionaries, followed by the Chaos Lord, the Master of Executions, Terminator Sorcerer, Terminators, Chosen, Rhino, and the Cultist Mob. The Cultist Mob are a big asterisk, though. Again, they're just a useful unit to have in your army in general. So I want to thank everybody for watching. I appreciate the time you've taken out your day to watch my videos. It's always nice to have a few familiar faces in the community chat. But yeah, other than that, thank you for watching. I hope you have a great day and a great weekend wherever you are. And always remember to praise the dark gods. Thanks for watching, guys.